visiting fellow at the Independent Women's Center for American Safety and Security. So, Taylor, happy Thanksgiving to you. Thank you for being here today. And it's unfortunate that we have to talk about this subject on this holiday, but I want to put a bit more focus on the human element here, because I think the media has not put enough coverage on this aspect. So we know that the 2 National Guard members were sworn in just 24 hours before they were shot, and this is according to D.C. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro. And I know you're a Gold Star sister, so I want to ask you this. What kind of impact do these things have on the victims' families? What is the immediate emotional toll in those first few moments after getting the phone call or the knock on the door?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Don. Just like when we did the Charlie Kirk segment, I wish that we were talking about anything other than this today. But the sad reality is that there are people in this country who want to do others harm. And this is just something that we're going to have to deal with and address until we can change the rhetoric. As far as the human element goes, there's really no getting over something like this. From what I'm seeing on X right now, Miss Beckstrom is not expected to make it. I hope that that's false and that she does pull through, but nothing can prepare you for that phone call or for the knock on the door. These people know whenever they're signing up to serve their country that there is a risk that they can pass away, but you think that there's going to be a risk that you pass overseas. You don't think that it's going to be in the nation's capital, by the hands of someone who was brought here as a refugee. And so I think it's really sad that we're in this situation, and really praying for the families and for these 2 soldiers to pull through.
So, Taylor, I was going to ask you a question about what the road to recovery looks like, but did I hear you clearly that you don't really fully recover from something like this?
You don't recover. I mean, your life just looks invariably different forever. I never stopped thinking about my brother. Half of the things on the bookshelf behind me came from his house or from his office, and they're things that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And you have those memories, but especially around the holidays, things are really, really hard. And whether these soldiers pull through or not, this is going to be something that is going to stick with them for the rest of their lives and with their families. And the only thing that can really pull you through something like this is a really strong community, a strong establishment of your faith, really leaning in on your faith and the people around you, and just trying to honor their legacy. And it's very, very difficult.
And I think you touched on something really important here, and that is faith. Can you talk a bit more? What role can faith play in situations like this?
Oh, I tell my friends all of the time, the reason that I am so vocal about my faith is because of my brother's passing. I don't think that there would have been any way that my family or I would have pulled through something like this without having a strong faith and without leaning on my knowledge of Jesus Christ, and that I will see my brother again one day, and that everything that I do every day that I get here is a gift from God, and that I'm living out my life to the fullest and trying to live as a reflection of Jesus. And that has pulled me through every difficult moment that my family and I have had since losing my brother. And I pray and I hope for the same for these 2 families and everyone who's dealing with it. And truthfully, the family of the guy that shot the 2 National Guardsmen as well. I mean, there's going to be so much horrific. He's got a wife and kids, and they're going to have to deal with the consequences of what he's done too. And I just pray for everyone in this situation. It's a really horrible, horrible environment, a really horrible situation.
Taylor, I'm really sorry to hear that your brother has passed. How do we prevent this? Why do you think we're seeing more violence against law enforcement officers lately?
We talked about this during the assassination of Charlie Kirk when we did that segment, and I said it then and I'll say it again. We have got to tone down the rhetoric in this country. You cannot have United States senators like Senator Slotkin on ABC and state that there is a risk that National Guardsmen can be shooting civilians and expect there not to be some kind of backlash for that. It is unacceptable for a sitting United States senator to use rhetoric like that. And it is unacceptable for people to be talking about these people like it's not human lives, that we're not, that these are just, that these law enforcement officers are people in a that they're just in a uniform. These are people with families. They have jobs to do. They swore an oath to protect the Constitution, to protect this country, and they should be respected for that. And they should be valued for the role that they play in keeping us all safe. And the leadership, especially those on the left right now, I'm seeing a lot of rhetoric and a lot of discourse that's happening that is completely inappropriate. And it takes leadership from people in their party, in the parties of both the left and the right, to make sure that we tone down this rhetoric and stop acting like violence like this is acceptable in the United States of America. This is a country with democratic laws. Rule of law matters in this country. And if we're going to be a Western country with Western values, then we need to uphold the rule of law. We need to uphold our democratic principles, and we cannot have senators going on air saying crazy things like that and expect things like this not to occur.
I just want to end with this. Is there anything we can do, given the current situation right now, to protect our law enforcement better?
Toning down the rhetoric matters. You know, President Trump is not going to pull back these National Guardsmen. Yes, there's an injunction right now with a federal judge, and so it will be up to them and the courts to decide whether this is legal or not. But for the time being, those National Guardsmen are going to be there, and we need to be thanking them for keeping our city safe. I mean, I live right outside of Washington, D.C., and I had a cousin visit me for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and we were walking around the city at night. I would have never done months ago. Crime is down overall 30% in the city, and it is directly because of the National Guardsmen and what they are doing to keep this city safe. It is about the Secret Service men and women and what they are doing to keep the city safe, and our Capitol Hill police officers. They should all be thanked. They all work incredibly hard to keep us safe. Left, right, center, it doesn't matter whether you're from this country or not from this country. They all swore an oath to protect us, and it's a shame that they should ever have to be worried about their lives being at risk in their own nation.
Yes, well said, Taylor. And our thoughts are with the victims and their families. Thank you for speaking with us today. Media reports citing anonymous sources say President Trump is preparing to fire FBI Director Kash Patel. Patel told the Epoch Times yesterday that he was with the president in the Oval Office when they heard about the reports.